Hello, everyone. This is Helena Hart, and today I'm so excited to be talking with Jonathon Aslay again today. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hey, Helena, how you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm so excited for this topic. For those of you who aren't familiar with Jonathon, he is America's leading dating and relationship expert for midlife. Well, actually, I would say probably for people in all stages of their life now, right? But he's known as America's leading midlife dating and relationship expert and protector of women's hearts all over the world. I absolutely love that. And he helps women stop attracting Mr. Wrong so they can make room to attract Mr. Right. And today we're talking about such an important topic. We're going to be discussing 5 things quality men secretly crave, even after sleeping with you, even after the beginning stages of a relationship. We've been getting so many questions. I'm going to pull the comments up right now. So many questions about this topic. So super excited to dive in. Jonathon, is there anything you want to say actually before we start with these 5 things?
No, well, first off, just real quickly, will I see everything on the live feed, the comments? Is that where?
You should. I haven't. Nothing's popping up yet. 57 people are already joining. So if you're watching, say hi. Let us know where you're watching from. If anything happens with the audio or video, let us know in the live chat.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to be here, and I'm ready to dive in.
Awesome. Okay, let's just get started then. Okay, yes, Lupita, Melody, Jennifer, thank you guys so much. So glad you guys are here. I always get a little nervous right when we start. Like, is everything working?
I was feeling the same way
at the beginning of all these. Okay, so excited you guys are here. If you have questions, let us know in the live chat, and we'll get to those at the end after we get through all this material. Oh my gosh, Heather, Christy, MB, everybody, thank you so much for joining. I think there's just a little bit of a delay today for some reason.
Okay.
So, all right, what's that first thing quality men secretly crave, Jonathon?
What do we crave? You know what we crave? It's interesting because when I came up with these 5, the first one, I was thinking of you.
Oh, really?
And yes.
That's so interesting. I would love to hear what it is.
So, ladies, one of the things men crave, and when we talk about quality men, I really, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more detail, but we're talking about those emotionally grown up men who are crystal clear, knowing what they want in relationship, and they show up very demonstrative, they show up very effusive, they're very clear as to where they're at. So I designed these for those 5. And the first one, as I was saying, I got sidetracked by talking about that, is radiance.
Oh, love that.
Quality men are attracted to radiance. And radiance isn't just a physical quality. In fact, it really isn't it has nothing to do with looks or beauty. And while you are gorgeous, my dear,
thank you.
You also radiate beautiful energy. You put out such great energy. And I think part of it is because of the work you do helping women really tap into their feminine essence. But what we're really talking about here is that energy that's pure, that energy that's loving. And what oftentimes happens in the dating, mating, and relationship realm is for both men and women alike, if they've experienced one bad experience after another, after another, after another, it's taken away their shine. It's taken away their radiance because they're actually hurting from the previous relationship. And we men can see that. We can go on a first date with a woman and you could literally see every guy that broke up with her standing right behind her.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So that's element 1. Or factor 1.
I think that's amazing. Thank you so much for the amazing compliment. I could totally say the same thing about you. And I guess I was trying to think that I think these kind of go both ways too. I would like women to sort of look for these qualities in the men they're attracting too, I would imagine, right? When you talked about, I was going to say when you talked about women who were jaded and you can see every man who's ever hurt them. I've certainly been on dates with men where you can see, all the bad experiences are kind of written all over their face. And so you want to be with somebody who exudes some of these qualities as well, I would imagine. So I love that first one.
Well, and you said something really critical here that I want everyone to hear. And the reality is both men and women, there isn't that much difference between them. Yes, biologically we're different, but at the core, we all want to feel loved. And the challenge with that is that so many people, men and women alike, have been hurt in their life. They were hurt in their childhood. They had childhood wounds or traumas that have carried over into their adult life, or they've had adult wounds and traumas. One of the reasons why I specialize in midlife is because the vast majority of people over 40 years old are dating people who are divorced.
Yeah.
And divorce carries with it a strong potential trauma. And if that trauma isn't healed, it's going to affect all your relationships. So I go, if, as you know, and you've had me on several times, I literally, everybody, I want you to know something. I have 14 books laid out here. I'll be bringing up books like when I talk about childhood wounds and traumas, I'll be talking about the Hoffman
I
process.
would love it.
The
Yes.
Hoffman process is a way to heal those. When we talk about, you know, the 5 love languages or the 4 agreements, I'll be bringing up these books because they all relate to how to create a healthy, happy relationship. And starting Radiance is really just the element of coming at the process. Look at, we all have stuff in our lives. We've all been hurt in some way, shape, or form. Are we going to allow the hurt to hide who we are, to hide our radiance, or are we going to persevere through the hurt and pain and allow our beauty to shine through?
Love that. Oh my gosh. For the 100 people watching live in the first 5 minutes, I love that. Let us know your experiences with this in the chat. And also, I do want to mention before we get into these next 4, Jonathon has so generously opened up some space in his calendar for a free discovery calls just for women in my community. So click the link in the description. Should be the first or second link. Also, are you still offering your private group for $1?
Yes, I am. Let's just say for those that aren't, you know, don't have the financial resources for coaching, I have an amazing group that for $1 for the first 7 days, you can join the group, or for the first 2 weeks, excuse me, you can join the group and test drive it. What's great about my group, you get a once a month teleclass with me, you get a library of content, and we have a Facebook group where we interact with one another and I shoot videos there just privately for the group members. And it's a private secret group. Nobody gets to see it. And it's only $20 a month to stay in after the first 7 days.
Amazing. I love that. I think that's great. Andrea says she's a big Jonathon fan. I love that.
Thank you. Yay.
We got, let's see. NJ says, I'm guessing to be more radiant, we need to be more present. Vicky also asked to define radiance. Any more you want to say on how to do this? Maybe as we all have, maybe some, you know, women listening have been hurt in the past, men too, right? How do you kind of get through that and on to the next better place and come from like a fresh start each time?
I want to actually, because you asked that, I have to turn on my phone for, just bear with me a second, because I want to pull up an example of Radiance, because what's fascinating to me, and please forgive me for looking down, I just have to find something here. So this happens to be this is a, by the way, for everyone watching, this is a judgment on my part. I'm going to totally own it. But this is the first picture on a dating app that I was looking at this morning. Do you see that? And I mean, something about that photo tells me that you're angry, you're upset. You know, there's no energy, there's no loving, positive energy. So it's on one level, I'm not saying that everyone should get up in the morning and fake a smile, that sort of thing. But there's something about just smiling, being happy, and putting out that energy to the universe, because a smile draws a man in. You know, one of the things we first see is your mouth. You know, when we look at you, we see your mouth, we see your eyes, we see shiny hair. In the case of Helena, great shiny hair. But we see, that's like the first things we see, what's coming out of your mouth. So my suggestion is you could have this look like what she had, or you could have this, you could have Helena's look, which is a great energetic smile. But it starts just by smiling.
Love that. I love that. I think there's been statistics. I wouldn't be the right person to ask about this, but especially online dating, men are actually much more likely to click on photos where they're making eye contact with the camera and smiling, right? I've heard things like that. So let us know your experiences with this too. Certainly, I've online dated. I've seen men's profiles as well. So it goes both ways. It's like you want to find someone who's approachable. Love this from Mary. A negative mind will never give you a positive life. Amazing quote. Emma,
well said.
Yeah, everyone who has a question, we'll get to them at the end too if you're just joining. Okay, let's jump into that second thing that quality men secretly crave.
Okay, this is a big one. And what we crave is what's called sovereignty. And where this really came about for me when I thought about this was I was watching the TV show The Crown, or the Netflix show The Crown, and the Queen of England is called the Sovereign. In other words, she governs the state. And in our own lives, we govern our own lives. We govern our state of being. So sovereignty is that ability to be self-contained, self-reliant, and not necessarily not needing someone in your life to enhance your life, but not dependent on another human being for your own happiness, to fill your own love cup. A sovereign person's love cup is full. We don't, sadly, the vast majority of Americans, and this is probably true around the world, is I need you to love me for me to feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Let me repeat that. I need you to love me for me to feel good about myself. That's the way we've been conditioned. And a sovereign person steps into their heart, they step into their life, self-contained, self-reliant, self-loving. And I mentioned books. So for everyone, I wrote a book called What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? My signature book, which is all about stepping into your sovereignty, to step into your powerful, radiant, confident self. And by the way, you said this earlier, whether man or woman, we are attracted to people that are self-confident. Now, the struggle is, how do we get there? How do we get to a level of confidence? Well, one of the benefits of working with yourself, in your feminine magnetism type programs and in my coaching programs, which really uncovers the human behavior and the understanding of why humans act the way they do, you're actually becoming more empowered. And there's nothing more empowered than that. And I have something to share with your group. So I have to put on my glasses. People that have known me and watched me know I'm embarrassed to wear my glasses, but I'm going to wear my glasses.
We love the glasses. Everyone in my community loves the glasses. I personally love glasses. So
I wrote something out. There's 15 things to demonstrate what I wrote something on my Facebook called Why I'm Attracted to Strong Women. Okay. So I want to read this for your group. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah. I would love to hear it. Absolutely.
So number one, their relationship will not take up 100% of their life, but they will put 100% into the relationship. It's important for strong women to have priorities and things going on outside their relationship, but that doesn't mean they want to give they doesn't mean that they won't give it their all when it comes to being happy with someone. That is a strong, confident, powerful, sovereign woman. I've got 15, so it's going to take a minute. Is that okay?
Yeah, totally.
I'll go through them quickly.
Okay.
Number two, they're not looking for a challenge, but they're looking for someone to challenge them. They're not interested in the chase or winning the game, but they're interested in being with someone who's going to challenge them to be better and to grow every day. A truly sovereign person is looking for a partnership that says, I want you to help me grow. I want you to help me grow. In fact, if you're not familiar with the book, I told you I have books. Gary Zukav wrote a great book called Spiritual Partnership, The Journey. What's a journey to authentic power? This is a great book for tapping into that design of being in partnership with another human being, to actually be part of a team together.
Love that.
Number three, romance usually means something different to a strong woman. They love dates and surprises just like the next woman, but in their mind, the most romantic thing in the world is being with someone who can truly relate to, who they can truly relate to, and someone who supports them in everything they do, and someone they'll feel safe with. I always say reserve romance for when a relationship begins and not as a way to get into a relationship. But that strong, confident, sovereign woman doesn't need romance for her to choose a relationship. She wants romance to be what's the delicious part of being in a relationship.
Love it.
I got more.
Okay.
They're not afraid to tell you when they like you. If they think this, they're not afraid to tell you when they like you. If they think this thing has a chance, they're not going to sit back and play coy and always wait for you to make the move. A confident, sovereign woman steps in and says, I like you. Because here's the thing, ladies, I know you're afraid to speak up, but I'm here to say, if it's sincere and from the heart, you can never say the wrong thing to the right person. By the way, that's in my book, self-love anyway.
The link to that's in the description too.
Yeah. I just can't help myself. This is my quirky way of sharing. Okay, they don't play games. There's no wait 2 hours to text back.
I love that.
You know, they don't play that stupid guideline. Strong women don't do that. They
Yeah.
still have a lot of other things going on besides the guy. This is so important. I know you teach this all the time. It's important to have your own sovereign life. So often women give their power away to man and then wonder why the guy left. It's because you gave him your power. And men, quality men don't want you to give their power. Quality men want you to maintain the power inside of you.
Love that. So good.
Oh, sovereign woman doesn't hold it against you if you're not into them. Okay. If you're not into them, that's okay.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Love it. Because they know that there's plenty of men that would be interested, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not looking to be a trophy wife. Strong women know that being tough and being emotional aren't mutually exclusive. Strong gals are strong, confident, and intelligent. They know how to handle themselves, but they're aware that doesn't mean that they can't be vulnerable and emotional. Let me repeat that. Strong, confident, sovereign woman knows that she can be emotional and vulnerable because she is safe within herself. She's not afraid to be vulnerable because she knows, as I said before, if it's sincere and from the heart, you can never say the wrong thing to the right guy.
I love that.
What's this one? A good conversation in their eyes doesn't revolve around how much money the guy makes. A sovereign woman isn't focused on that. They also know that sometimes they have a hard time opening up in the beginning. A sovereign woman is, because she's self-contained, she is going to be a little reserved, but that's okay. It's okay to take your time opening up. A sovereign woman won't ask you to choose between them and other priorities. Sovereign women are attracted to people who have goals. They're not going to wait forever. And they're less worried about the fairy tale romance and more concerned about finding someone who will simply make them happy.
Oh, I have so much to say on all of that. Maybe we should probably do a whole other live stream just on that. It reminded me so much of my best friends. I should have them on here sometime. They're a married couple, and everything the strong woman you described is everything, just like one of my best friends. And her husband always says the stronger she is, the better our relationship is, the closer we are. It's like, I love all of that.
By the way, now a lot of women are, by the way, I'm shooting a video. By the way, I have a YouTube channel as well. And I've recorded a video about, are men intimidated by strong women? And I'm here to say, by the way, for the record, you and I can do another webinar on these 15 alone. I get that. But men aren't, women will say, well, men are intimidated by strong women. And I'm here to say that, okay, yes, an insecure guy is going to be intimidated, but that's because he's insecure anyway. So does it really matter?
Right.
But here's where a confident guy has a reluctance with a strong, confident woman. And that is, maybe we don't make as much money as you. Maybe we don't have the status. Maybe we don't have the assets. And because of that, we have a fear that you'll reject us because we think you have an expectation of that. And a confident, sovereign woman isn't concerned about that. So she needs to be able to express that to a guy, because oftentimes it's not that he doesn't break up because he's intimidated. He ends the relationship because he doesn't feel like he might be accepted for who he is.
I think that's great. We did a live stream a few weeks ago on 5 hidden male insecurities that most men feel but don't talk about. If you're interested in that, go check out that live stream. That was so great. MB says, do you have an example of being challenged not in a game way?
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I actually appreciate, when two couples actually have what I call conversations of curiosity, conversations of inquisitiveness. In other words, going beyond the surface and talking about things that might have some greater meaning and uncovering and unpacking something. It might be politics, it might be religion, it might be what's going on socially in the world. And actually, and when you're having a disagreement, coming at it from a very conversational way, but challenge a man on his opinions. It's okay to do that, but not in a, like I said, confrontational way. This is one of the reasons why I recommend the book Nonviolent Communication by
Yes.
Marshall
Yes.
Rosenberg.
Mm-hmm.
Because this, and by the way, here's a great way. I have a great way to challenge I'm going to share something with the group. Ladies, if you want a high quality guy, then it's okay that you know more than him when it comes to relationships. Most guys don't study this work the way women do. And I'm here to say that if you're with a quality guy and you introduce personal development, self help, or spiritual work, if you introduce the books that I share, for example, the book 8 Dates by John and Julie Gottman, 8 Dates, this might challenge him because that might be something he's not familiar with. But you introduce this book into your relationship, especially if you begin having regular sex together, this is a great way to bond with your relationship because this book was designed to help you form a really tight-knit relationship with someone.
I think that's great. I'm loving these comments and questions. Oh, wait, hold on. They keep disappearing. What about this one? Laura, what if he becomes cold and doesn't want to engage in that type of discussion?
Well, what if he doesn't? Well, then you know what? You have to ask yourself, is that the man you want to be with? Because here's the thing, ladies, and listen, I say this all the time. If you're going to allow a penis into a vagina on a regular basis, then you have every right to say, I want to form a healthy, happy relationship with you. And if a man isn't willing to invest in learning how to be in a healthy, happy relationship, then why would you want to invest in that guy? And I'm here to say, ladies, most guys are effing clueless when it comes to relationships. You're so and by the way, this sounds like a judgment, but I'm just going to come from that parental, passionate place, is you're so quick to give your power to have the man lead the relationship. And I'm here to say you're giving the job to the wrong person. Most men are effing clueless when it comes to leading a relationship. They're certainly great at leading to getting you into bed, but after that, they have no clue. That's why you are in charge of your relationship destiny. You don't give your power to the guy.
I think that's fantastic. What was the last book you just held up? Cynthia was asking.
Oh, 8 Dates by John Gottman, Dr. John and Julie Gottman.
Okay, got it. There's so many great questions. Heather Ann's loving the male perspective. Everyone's loving you, Jonathon. I think for the sake of time, there's over 200 people watching already in the first 20 minutes. Let's move on to the third one, and we'll get to the rest of these questions.
Third one. Okay. You know what? One of the basic human needs. So for those who aren't familiar to the 6 core basic human needs, you can go Google 6 core basic human needs. The first need is what's called certainty. In other words, we need to know that if I have this pencil, I need to know it's going to drop or my whole life is just going to explode if it actually floats up in the air. In other words, it goes against what we expect.
Right.
But life also needs something called uncertainty. In other words, it's really talking about variety. So something we crave in a relationship is variety. And what I mean to say is not the same old, same old, same old. So it's incumbent upon a woman as well as the man to introduce variety into the relationship, because if it's not, it's going to become stale and old. That might be going on a new trip. That might be exploring, doing a different activity than you normally do. It might be exploring these books that I talk about. But through variety, we actually get to create the juices in our life to stir it up, because oftentimes most people become stale and old. And I'm here to say is through variety and introducing variety into the relationship. That could be sexual variety too, by the way. Most men are craving that on some level. And by the way, everything we said, I know women are craving as well.
Totally. Yeah. Like we're probably going to say this all throughout. This is not about just conforming to what, we think a man wants. You want to be looking for these qualities too in a potential partner, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Love that. So Radiance, sovereignty, variety. What's the fourth thing men secretly
Fourth
crave?
one. We're seeking emotional maturity. Emotional maturity.
Yeah.
Sadly, here in the United States, the average person is sucking on the nipple of victimhood, victim consciousness. We are riddled with people that are literally don't take personal responsibility for their choices. And one of the most fundamental pieces for a successful relationship, especially if you want a high quality guy, because a high quality guy takes personal responsibility for his choices. His actions match his words. He knows how to, what I call fight fair. In other words, knows how to have a disagreement with someone, but still listen and appreciate what someone else says. That high quality guy shows up with a level of empathy. In other words, it's not just I can feel your feelings, but your feelings matter to me. And that high quality guy shows up transparent. In other words, he's showing up being open and receptive, not running away from problems. So guess what? If that's what a high quality does, that's what emotional maturity is. A woman has to be the same thing, or that high quality guy is going to run away because we're seeking emotional maturity.
I think that's great. I don't remember if it's the last live stream or the one before that, you mentioned like how to recognize that someone's emotionally mature. I don't know if you have that in front of you right now, but I think you gave like a couple tips on how to like spot emotional maturity. Do you know any of those off the top of your head?
So I'll give you one. Sure. Yeah. So one, for example, is you're in the early stages of dating and a relationship and you ask a question about the person. So tell me a little bit about your past relationship experiences. Now, I'm a big proponent of asking that question. I know that goes against all the rules that everyone says. I'm saying bullshit to that. You have every right to interrogate someone. Bump, bump, bump. Now, when I say interrogate, I really mean ask really good value-based questions so you can get to know another human being. And I'm saying interrogation tongue in cheek. It's not an interview, it's a conversation. But it's absolutely okay to find out about their past relationship and what you're looking for in particular. And what I love is Barbara DeAngelis talks about this in her book, Are You the One for Me? Are You the One for Me? She talks about finding out about a person's past relationships because what you're looking for is, are they pointing the finger at their ex? Are they pointing the finger at the ex saying, my ex was the problem and I'm just perfect? Or do they take ownership to their part of what happened in the ending of a relationship? And Helena, I'm a single man out there. By the way, ladies, yes, I'm single and available. And I can't tell you how many women I'm just talking, oh, so what happened in your marriage or what happened with your last relationship? Oh, he did this and he did this and he did this. That is a clue to me right from the get-go. If she's pointing the finger at him, then she's not looking at her own part of the relationship. And that's a red flag for me. Now, red flag just means ask more questions. It doesn't mean deal breaker. But I'm very acutely aware, are they complaining or do they point the finger or do they take ownership in their life? Because the person who takes ownership is emotionally mature.
Love that. People are loving this too. Of course, you want to be looking for at this and men too. Emotional maturity. Love that. People are loving this. This is so great. By the way, before we get into the last one, make sure to go schedule your discovery call with Jonathon. That's the link in the description. I believe it's the maybe first or second link. Also, go join his private group for $1. Get your personal questions answered on that $1 trial there. Anything else you want to say about that, or do you want to move on to the last one?
Oh, they can check out my YouTube channel too.
Oh, that's in there.
Okay, let me just tell you why I said that, Helena. So your channel has 80,000 followers and I've got 8,000. So I want to catch up to you. So I'm very competitive that way.
Yeah. Well, your channel's exploding. I think ever since since we started doing these, especially.
I know.
Or tripled or something. So yeah, everyone loves your videos. People are loving this conversation, by the way. So good. We'll get to your questions at the end. You want to jump into that last thing?
Sure, the fifth thing. Okay, this is hugely important. A high quality man wants to be both respected and appreciated for his efforts. He wants to be respected and appreciated for his efforts in the relationship. I can tell you that I've talked to so many divorced men. And while these divorced men have their own faults and issues that cause the divorce, one of the common threads I hear from men, and this is probably true for women as well, is they felt so unappreciated and so lack of respect in their relationship. And I'm here to say, ladies, and to any guys that are watching this, there has to be, on some level, from a dating perspective, I want to say, be a grown-up and begin to respect people. Now, I know there are a lot of situations where you might disrespect a person. But ultimately, what a man wants to feel in relationship is that he's your hero. And the best way to demonstrate hero is not to open the can of jam per se, but treat him with respect. Ask him his opinion. And then asking an opinion is a great way to just demonstrate respect, being curious. And by doing so, then show appreciation for his efforts. Because when we feel appreciated, we don't take you for granted.
Yeah,
so
true.
You cannot take someone for granted when you're actively and continually appreciating them. So when a man feels appreciated and he's appreciated, by the way, he has to appreciate you. If he's not appreciating you, that's a problem in the relationship.
Yeah.
So it's a two-lane street. But if your lane is appreciation, he's not there, then you have to reevaluate the relationship.
I think that's phenomenal. Love that. Tulip is asking where to register. So you need to, if you're watching this live, close the live chat, click that little upside down triangle in the description. Next to the title, there's a little like upside down triangle. Click that, and then it'll be the first or second link.
How many people do we have live?
About 250.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. This is great. I think that's phenomenal. I always say acknowledgement and the appreciation are kind of the fuel that men run on. They want to know that their efforts are appreciated, that what they do makes you happy and makes you feel good, right?
So I want to bring this up because here's a technique that I want to share with everyone. Sadly, the words "thank you" have become to go on deaf ears, and partly because you're at the grocery store, you say thank you. You're at somewhere else, you say thank you. And thank you, while it has value to it, the words appreciation, the words gratitude, grateful, those are more powerful words. I want to encourage everyone to begin to use the words appreciation, gratitude, and grateful as part of their daily language, because when you're actively saying it on a regular basis, it has more power, it has more meaning to it.
I love that. I think that's so great. Is there anything else you want to say? How about we recap these 5 and then we'll get to questions? Does that work?
Sure. So number 1, radiance. Number 1, radiance. That energy, just showing that energy, that beautiful energy inside you. And ladies, I know it can be a challenge. I know there's, for many of you, that can be not, and this has nothing to do with beauty. This has nothing to do with looks. It's really about that inner beauty. And for many of you, if you've been hurt, and this is one of the reasons why I highly recommend you work with Helena in this particular case. If there's a block in your life that's hiding your radiance, then you have to work with, like with Helena or the other amazing experts she brings on, because it's all about showing your radiant energy, because that is one of the first things we see in a being with a person. So radiance. Number 2, sovereignty. That whole, that strong, confident, ambitious woman that's not masculine. This is actually the essence of feminine energy, is to be in your power, to be in your sovereignty, to be empowered. There is nothing more feminine and sexy than that. Has nothing to do with masculine energy. It's about empowered energy. And that is a heavy turn on. Number 3, variety. In other words, mixing things up. And you know what? It's absolutely okay. Don't be waiting for the guy to make every decision in the relationship. It's incumbent upon you to mix it up as well and interject what you want in the relationship and things to do in the relationship, because then it's not all on us. And we get to actually be your hero in that particular case when you interject variety into the relationship. Number 4, emotional maturity. And I just shared with the fundamentals of emotional maturity. Your actions match your words. You take personal responsibility for your choices. You know how to fight fair. You're empathetic and transparent. But I also want to recommend something in emotional maturity as well. And for those that aren't familiar with the book 4 Agreements, the 4 Agreements, this is a foundational book for tapping into emotional maturity, because it's all about, being impeccable with your word, not taking not taking other opinions and making them your own. Don't be assumptive, and always do your best. That is the essence of emotional maturity. So definitely check out the book 4 Agreements. And what was the 5th one? Oh, respect and appreciation.
I think that's great. I'm just watching all the comments pop up over here. I'm always trying to monitor the comments. I have this one hair that's going across my face, right in my eye. I'm like trying to.
You're so cute. You're so cute.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like. Okay, so here we go. Thank you. Love the sovereignty description. Everyone is just loving this. Loving you, Jonathon. Yes, radiant smile brings glowing vibes. How about this one? I was looking for this right here. What are some ways to work on emotional maturity after trauma for both parties? I thought that was a great question from Heather.
Oh, I love this question. So, I'm a big proponent of doing therapy. And doing inner work. I did the Hoffman process. I mentioned this earlier. I did the Hoffman process And this was a great inner child workshop to really heal my negative patterns and my limiting beliefs in life that affected me as an adult. So we oftentimes have to go to the root, which is our upbringing from our parents.
Yeah.
Sadly, most men and women choose dysfunctional relationships because they're actually repeating a pattern that happened in their childhood. And we talked about this in our first video. We talked about avoidant personalities, and we talked about the imago, which, for those aren't familiar with the book Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix, Getting the Love You Want, this is all about understanding how we choose relationships many times based on what we were raised with. And then the avoidant personality, you have to check out the book Attached, because this is all understanding. What's interesting, Helena, is there's probably a greater percentage of women who are anxious attachment style, and men tend to be more avoidant. And when you actually get a better understanding of how you operate internally, you can begin to predict behavior. And when you predict behavior, you can get to make better choices. So for both parties, I'm a big proponent of both people joining in and doing work together. That's why I recommend all these books, because when you do it together, you can form a healthy, happy relationship together.
I think that's great. Are those books available on Amazon?
Yes, Amazon.
I get the books. Okay, I got a lot of questions. People asking, are there ebook formats and all that stuff? Okay, I'm going to scroll all the way back to the top. I love that answer, by the way. That was really, really good. I've certainly been there. I've certainly had to overcome trauma and all that stuff in order to.
Oh, and by the way, so for those listening, I was actually, as my default is, I'm an anxious attacher. In other words, I tend to be needy in relationship. And how I actually cured that was I was in relationship with someone who happened to be a little avoidant. And every time we had a fight, I would go, oh my God, she's going to break up with me. But she didn't break up with me. And then we'd have a fight. Oh my God, she's going to break up with me. But she didn't break up with me. Oh my God, we had a fight. She's going to break up with me. Now, after about 300 or 400 times, I finally got the clue. You know what? She isn't breaking up with me. Would have been nicer if I got that message sooner. But the reality was, it was all made up in my head. And so self-discipline is actually one of the cores to a sovereign woman, a quality person, is that we can govern ourselves. We do not need someone else to make us feel good for us to feel good about ourselves. And so the work is doing the inner work so you can be prepared for a juicy, delicious relationship. And that's my invitation for everyone.
I think that's great. I would say the majority of women who come and kind of find my videos or have some of my books or programs tend to have these anxious feelings or feelings of urgency, and they just want to act out of those feelings by constantly reaching out and throwing all their energy towards somebody who's completely backing up. And it's healing it at the root. Then you can just do whatever you want,
Well, it's because we're addicted to chemistry. Here in the United States in particular, we're so hyper addicted to chemistry. Oh my God, Jonathan, I've never felt this way with anyone before. It's the best chemistry. Yeah, but he's a dysfunctional bonehead. And so understand that oxytocin can bond a woman to a person that is not the right person for them.
Or our subconscious mind creates this spark of attraction with someone who fits into our old, often toxic relationship patterns of what love felt like earlier in life, right? So if you grew up needing to work hard to get your parents' love, you're going to be attracted to and attract men who kind of leave you hanging or make you feel like you're not quite good enough. So chemistry is often a huge red flag, that instant chemistry. If that tends to be all hooked up with people where it doesn't really work out.
You bring up a really great point here, is that, by the way, it's great to have instant chemistry because it feels great, right?
Of course,
but it's also a grown-up, a high-quality person, a sovereign person is also tempered. In other words, they're not giving. It's okay to have great chemistry. Let's not discount that. And you don't get sucked into it. You don't jump into bed on the first date. And by the way, I'm not here to judge. You can certainly do whatever you want, but you don't get sucked into the lust part of chemistry. Maybe, by the way, I differentiate between lust chemistry and energetic chemistry, because energetic chemistry means you're vibing. You're vibing. One of the reasons why The 5 Love Languages is a great book, because this is an example of when you begin to vibe with someone on an emotional level, not just a physical level. Oh, by the way, everyone, I'll do that really quickly. If you're not familiar with the book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, highly recommend checking it out because it gives you insight into how to emotionally connect with another human being.
So good. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. We could probably do a whole another video just on chemistry. So much to say about all that because you want to watch what he does too, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to get all swept up in that. If he's
Exactly.
not doing anything. Kind of a similar question from Emma. What if my man is passive after having sex, but says he feels I have his back, feels safe with me, but doesn't reach out? How do I start that conversation?
Okay. By the way, this is not an uncommon thing. So there's this perception that men are the leaders of relationship and men go after what they want. It's all predicated on this concept, the hunt. Okay. Now understand the hunt for food isn't the same for a hunt for a relationship. When cavemen hunted for food, they were very single focused, but that doesn't relate. That's certainly fine in the tactile way of how men operate, but not the emotional way. And most men are just as hurt as women. So they might appear passive. This is one of the reasons why I tell my clients that a relationship is a 2-lane street, not a 2-way street, a 2-lane street. And if he's traveling on the lane, you're traveling on the lane, you want to be, you basically want to be going at the same pace with each other. Now, if he's backed up a little bit, then you back up a little bit. Okay. That's my recommendation, but it's also okay to lean in and check in with him and find out what's causing him to pull back a little bit. It is absolutely okay if you're going to have regular sex with someone, and I always say penis into vagina, which often some women get offended by, but that's just my personality, is you have every right to ask questions. That's the whole point. How do you get to know another human being without asking questions? So check in with him, and it's okay to pick up the phone or text message. Don't always be waiting for the guy, because men also have their fears and anxiety and insecurities as well.
Love that. Okay. I think that's great. Let's keep looking for let's see.
A juicy one.
Oh, you guys are so sweet. I think we talked about that. What if he becomes cold, doesn't want to engage in discussion?
Here's the thing about hot and cold, because that's a question that comes up a lot. The reality in relationship, it's never always going to be hot, 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 hot. Okay. We need to cool. When something's hot, you need to cool down. In other words, when you exercise and your heart rate goes up and your body temperature goes up, right? There's going to be a point where it needs to cool down, and to actually cool down, it has to go the opposite direction. And it's the same with human beings, is that people are sometimes hot and cold. It's because, when someone goes cold, it's because something is, most likely there's a fear coming out. There's some sort of fear. They're butting up against maybe their own resistance in relationship. It doesn't make the men bad people. It makes them human beings. And most men aren't doing anything to hurt another woman. I mean, sadly, I know that's the way it may be perceived, but most men, not all men, but most men are doing the best they can. That's why I always say most men are good guys. They're just bad daters.
Yeah. And of course, we're not making excuses for men or telling you just to put up with hot and cold. If a man is constantly backs off every time he gets too close, obviously you don't want to have a relationship like that.
So because we want the high quality guy. So the high quality guy represents everything on this list. So you want to, at least that's my recommendation, is become that high quality woman that the high quality man wants to crave. So it starts from within, but also recognize that if a guy, by the way, ladies, here's the thing, Helena, I've interviewed thousands of women who have gone through breakup. And almost every single one says to me, I knew something was wrong right in the beginning, but I went against my better judgment.
So true.
You had the signs there. You just didn't listen.
So true. So true. There's this great phrase, like the red flags that you ignore in the beginning are usually the reasons the relationship ends. I mean, I've certainly been there. Has anyone not been there? I feel like I've
been there too.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who's working through these things. Heather says, I'm working on codependency. I try to control too much. I lost my femininity and gentleness. I have terrible walls up. I can't get them down. What would you say to someone who has walls up, maybe for that first quality of radiance, and they're having a hard time, you know, maybe because they've had bad experiences in the past?
Okay. So, Heather, I'm just going to say 2 words to you. 2 words. Stop it! I'm being tongue in cheek. All right. So, what I mean to say is self-discipline is actually something you have to work on within yourself. So, if you're aware of these patterns, that is fabulous. Okay. Right off the bat, the fact that you're aware of this is so critically important, because when you're aware, you can then, as I said before, begin to shift your behavior. So you recognize that you have these patterns of controlling, to what else you say, losing your femininity, gentleness right now. First off, awareness is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's okay to, by the way, we're human beings. We're human beings. We are, we're going to make mistakes in life. How do we overcome something? By pushing through them. So first, the awareness is the best piece. And then once awareness is also catching yourself. In other words, when you feel that way, is pulling back and catching yourself. And looking at what's happened in the moment, being really present to what's happened, come back to being present. Now, a lot of people struggle becoming present. So I have a great exercise I'm going to teach Heather and everyone else right now. It's called the Hawaiian forgiveness prayer. The Hawaiian forgiveness prayer. Now, for those that aren't familiar with the words forgiveness, forgiveness means simply forgiving love. Forgiving love. So the Hawaiian forgiveness prayer, also known as the Ho'oponopono, is a very simple little prayer. It goes like this. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Heather, whenever I'm feeling anxiety, whenever I'm feeling discomfort, whenever I'm feeling anything that makes me feel uncomfortable, I recite this prayer a dozen times. Now, the benefit of this prayer, it's actually on a biological level, it's a pattern interrupt for your nervous system. And it actually begins to shift you into love. So you do this enough times. By the way, also, I should have said this before. If you have deep trauma that's a result of this, go seek therapy, because that could be the root cause. But if this is just you're aware of it, you've gone through therapy, you've done work, and you want a little extra help, try the Hawaiian forgiveness prayer. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. You're giving yourself an injection of love. Okay.
I love that. I've been aware of that for years and years and years.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. I'm so glad you brought that up. I think that's great. Here's a great question. I keep getting questions like this all over my channel. How, people who are dating a widower. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So that's a great question. Yeah, especially for me as a midlife dating coach, because a big percentage of the population is, as we get older, there's going to be more widowers. So first and foremost, a couple things about this is an observation I have with widowers, depending on their age. Oftentimes, if they had a really great marriage and their partner died, maybe it was cancer, maybe it was an accident, something unexpected, or maybe it was some prolonged, they tend to immediately want to fill the hole. They actually are very codependent men, and they immediately attach themselves to the first person that they meet. And we know statistically that 75% of second marriages end in so be mindful that if you're the first person he's met, be prepared. It could be a setup for a challenge if he has a codependent personality. The other aspect of a widower that's very challenging is if they genuinely love their partner, they're going to need some time to unravel the tapestry of that old relationship and get into his own sovereignty. One of the challenges with widowers is they haven't gotten back into their sovereignty. So what's most important is to be aware of this. It doesn't mean you can't date a widower, but just be mindful that he may get attached to you because he's just afraid of being alone.
I think that's so great. Thank you for your thoughts on that. I knew you'd have something great to say about that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm trying to do a million things at once right now. Every time I'm looking around, I'm like doing the comments and the time and the viewers and everything. Okay, Jennifer says, when a man has full custody of his 8-year-old daughter, works full time, is going a couple days without texting normal. We've been on 2 dates.
Is that normal? Absolutely. So here's the thing. we've so become accustomed that we have to text 47 times a day or we don't feel good about the relationship. So God forbid it wasn't 47, it was 37. Oh my God, they're going to break up with me because they only texted 37 times instead of the 47 times we always have. People need to chill out. We don't need to be communicating every effing second of the day to feel good about the relationship. Now, with Jennifer, with the respect to your guy, look at this is a guy that has a full plate. He's probably got he's got full-time custody. He's got his job and everything. I'm not saying that you aren't important to him in his life, but chances are he has other priorities. So it's going to be a challenge to be in a relationship with a person when they have so many other priorities in their life. Doesn't mean that you're not important to him, but recognize that those priorities trump the relationship most of the time until deep roots have been built in the relationship. And one of the things I teach in my private coaching, so for those that are interested in that free discovery call, I teach the roots, how to build the roots to deeper connection. Because once you've established roots, then he's always going to be there for you. But you have to learn how to establish those roots. And I definitely teach that in my private coaching.
I think that's great. Yeah. Especially if you've been on 2 dates, you just kind of, you don't want to be expecting this constant communication, right? If he's got full custody,
oh my God.
Yeah.
By the way, everyone, expectation is the mother of disaster and desperation is her twin sister.
Oh, I love that.
By the way, not my quote. Guy Blue said that.
Okay, love that. Okay, what about this one? How to have my power and deliver my message to him that I like him. I want to give us a second chance or second try without being needy. Any thoughts there?
Here's the thing. Let's throw out this belief that expressing what you want is needy. There is nothing more sexy and empowered than expressing your needs, wants, and desires. If it is needy, it's a concept in your mind. Now, if that scares another person away because they're an avoidant personality, they're not your guy.
Yeah, totally agree.
You can by the way, in my book, once again, if it's sincere and from the heart, you can never say the wrong thing to the right person. And if it's sincere and from the heart, it's not needy, it's empowering.
Love that. I love that. So good. Okay, what about this great question from Sarah? How to ask the guy to appreciate my efforts? Kind of the other side of it.
How to ask the guy? That's a good question. I was going to say, okay. So in a relationship, you have to recognize that people are different. In fact, going back to the 5 love languages, oftentimes when people don't speak the same love language, they don't actually feel seen, heard, and understood. So one of the most fundamental things in a relationship is to make requests. Let me repeat that word. Requests. In other words, you're making bids or requests for what you want. This is what Dr. John Gottman talks about extensively in the book 8 Dates, is that you make a request. Honey, there are times when I do things in our relationship that I just want you to know. I just want to know that you appreciate it. Is it okay for you to express your appreciation for me so I know that it's landing on you? Here's the thing. You might think that's needy. That's a request. You're making a request. Again, it's non-confrontational. It's just asking for what you want, and then give him a chance to meet that need.
Love that. And his response to that is going to give you a lot of information about how, what is he going to be a good partner or not, right? If
Here's
a small request like that pushes him away, he can't, right?
Yeah,
he can't be a good partner.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I was so excited about jumping in.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, here's the thing. There are a lot of emotionally unhealthy people out there. We are riddled in unconscious, unhealthy ego, and people get defensive when you're butting up against their own insecurities, fears, traumas, neurosis, and so forth. So just recognize if someone gets defensive by you making a simple bid and request, chances are they have an unresolved trauma that needs to go get healed before you spend much time with them. So just remember, people that get defensive or point the finger at you or make things your fault, that's not your guy. Just like it's not my girl if that's what happens. So just be mindful that a real true partner in relationship is transparent. They lean into the relationship because they want to be in partnership. And I've got another book for you. There's a great book by Barbara DeAngelis called How to Make Love All the Time. How to Make Love All the Time. Great book for really getting your relationship deeply rooted into a loving relationship.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Heather Ann says, I love it. A man who's transparent. Totally agree. What about this one? As an anxious attachment person, do you have a difficult time asking a partner to talk about serious problems, or would you feel anxious to talk because you were afraid she would break up with you? I think you mentioned every time you'd have an argument, you'd be afraid that there was going to be a breakup, right?
Yeah, but that was my shit.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't on her. It was on
Right.
me. Everything that's written here is on you. It's not on them.
Right.
Now, that was my fear. And what my fear could do is sabotage the relationship. Just recognize when it's sincere and from the heart, you can't say the wrong thing to the wrong person. But when you're in fear and ego, you can absolutely sabotage a relationship. Okay. But that's recognizing, is it coming from fear or is it coming from love? Ladies, I have a podcast called the What Would Love Do podcast, which is the link below. I started this podcast to explore life from the eyes of love. And I'm here to say that to shift to energetic love is that the ability to overcome our insecurities and fears by doing the personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. So we aren't afraid to speak our truth. And chapter 1 of my book is Speak Your Truth. Just do it with kindness.
I think that's so great. I love that. I love everything you said. All these questions keep disappearing. And I think there's a delay today. So a bunch of them pop up and I'm trying to make sure we don't miss any.
How many people do we have on?
We have 264 people watching live, which is awesome. Okay. So Jenna says, I used strong boundaries to communicate my needs. He withdrew due to family issues, saying he still wants me, but can only do infrequent visits. I backed off for a few weeks with no text.
I love this question. So I'm big proponent is being crystal clear on what you want in relationship. Being crystal clear on what you want in relationship. So can I share a personal example?
Oh, yeah.
So when I'm dating someone, or at least I'm in the early stage of dating, I tell anyone I'm dating is I'm looking for a relationship where we spend 3 or 4 days and nights a week together, doing shared activities, hobbies, and mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, building roots of teamwork, along with sexual and physical and emotional intimacy, leading into partnership. I'm very crystal clear on what I want. If someone's only available 1 day a week, every other Sunday, then they're not my person. Because when you're clear on what you want, then you're asking the universe to fill that slot. But sadly, and Helena, I have over 20,000 hours of coaching.
Wow.
I've worked with thousands of women, and I've noticed one pattern with most women. They always think of relationships at the fantasy 40,000 foot level. The fantasy 40,000 foot level. And I know this because in my coaching practice, which again, if someone wants to schedule a discovery call, I have them describe their ideal relationship. I have them write an essay. And then they go through my proprietary program, and then I have them redo it. And guess what happens every single time, Helena?
Is it different than what they originally wrote?
Not only is it different, they say the following. Why didn't I learn this in school? Why didn't my parents teach us this? Why didn't I learn this 10 years ago? That's what coaches like myself do, is re-educate you. So you're not dating based on fantasy and romance, and by something more substantial.
I love that. I have a fellow coach who I have on live streams, Jack Butler, says dating rocks on the ground, not castles in the sky. I always love that.
Oh, I love that.
So good. Lorette scheduled her call with you. So everyone, yes, go please click the link. I bet it's first or second link in the description. I know these are going to fill up fast and run out. I thought they did the first time. We had to wait.
I'm already looking at my phone blowing up. Thank you so much.
Okay. So let's see. Do you have time for a few more? We have people watching live, coming at the end of the hour. Okay. If a guy thinks you're high maintenance, even though I'm not, would this be a reason he didn't pursue you, even though the chemistry is huge?
Okay. Let me tell everyone the 4 pillars to relationship success. The 4 pillars to relationship success. Pillar number 1, yes, chemistry. We need chemistry. It's the foundational piece, because without chemistry, it ain't going to work. Okay. So yes, it's great that you have this great, huge chemistry. Pillar number 2, shared values. Shared values. Do you share the same values with one another? In other words, and sadly, a lot of people, we live in a melting pot here with different cultures, different religions, and such, different backgrounds. And a lot of people don't share the same values. So people that have share the same values have one of the core roots for a successful relationship. Number 3 is blending lives. Blending lives. Can your lives blend together? You know, it cracks me up when I talk to women who are having long distance relationships, and these are two people that can never move from where they live.
Right.
Now, but the fantasy makes me think I can move because love will make everything happen. I'm dramatic, remember? So I'm here to say fantasy doesn't change reality, okay? And love is only one component of a relationship. So blending lives. And then the 4th pillar is that emotional maturity. So high maintenance, usually high maintenance is the result of the following. Usually, a woman expects this much emotions and a man gives this level of emotion, okay? That space in between is called drama.
Yeah.
Okay. In other words, your expectation is here. So my suggestion is lower your expectation, allow him to rise and start meeting you. Lower your expectations, start meeting you. Now, that's one element of high maintenance is drama. Now, high maintenance could be something else too. I don't know the way Brooke outlined it, but high maintenance could be someone who takes 2 hours to get ready when the guy gets ready in 10 minutes. That could be considered high maintenance. What other ways? High maintenance is Sally, when Harry met Sally, when she took an hour and a half to order a ham sandwich. That can be high maintenance. Now, here's the thing about high maintenance. My ex-girlfriend was high maintenance in one area of her life, but I fell in love with it because actually our quirks are what makes us special is our quirks, okay? So I'm high maintenance. So let me give you an example. I can't stand ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, and relish. It cannot be on my table. It can't be anywhere when I'm eating. I literally will throw up and grossed out. I'm almost going to throw up right now. Okay. That makes me high maintenance when it comes to this. So literally we go to a restaurant, I say, push that stuff aside.
Oh my gosh.
But oftentimes high maintenance is usually centered around drama. And that's why I wanted to differentiate those. So I hope I help Brooke.
Love that. Okay. All right. Awesome. What about this question from Stephanie? I have major trust issues after being cheated on by lots of men. It's starting to hurt my relationship. What's the best way to overcome this?
Yeah, here's the thing about trust issues. That's something you got to heal on your own. I don't believe that's a healthy thing to heal while you're in relationship. Now, let me be clear when I say this. A lot of healing comes when we're in relationship. But trust issues is a challenge. And this is one where you have to go deep. First off, you have to get to the root of where that trust issue is. Usually it stems from a parental area in your life. This is, by the way, I know a lot of women went to the Hoffman process that I went to, the Hoffman process, to work specifically on trust issues. And it usually stems from a childhood wound that's been unresolved. So my suggestion is to go into therapy and work on that, or go to a really good, healthy workshop. Because here's the thing, like, for example, I'm a dating relationship coach for women. I talk to women all day long. I've gone out with a woman who had trust issues. And let me tell you something, I broke up with her quickly.
Oh, wow.
Really fast, because here's the thing, it's not my job to heal your trust issues. And by the way, being a dating coach for women, I'm going to trigger any woman who has trust issues because I talk to women. Although I show up trustworthy, I show up authentic, I show up as an emotional grown-up and everything, but I can't be with someone who has trust issues. So I'm not judging the person with trust issues. I'm here to say, do some inner work. And by the way, you might also want to check into somatic therapy, and that's actually emotional release work to get that trauma out of your body. So Google that as well.
I think that's great. Would you guys be interested in a video or live stream on trust issues? I keep getting that question. I thought maybe that might be a good topic for another one.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments if that's something that would be interesting. Yasmin says, awesome information and advice. DJ says, I asked when he canceled an important date if he had something he needed to tell me. He blocked me, but kept the phone text open. I've been hearing this a lot. That he
it's weird. So can I share something personal that happened the other day? So I do one of my foundational pieces in my life is I'm impeccable with my word. I mean, I do my best to always be impeccable with my word. So I had a phone date scheduled. Oh, this was about a month ago. And we were supposed to do a Zoom call. You know, this is the coronavirus and all that stuff. And what happened was I told her I'd be free after 5:30 because I had calls and coaching and everything. So my 5:30 appointment went long. And then when I was finished, I was starving. So I go, oh my God, and by the way, I went the entire day without eating. So now it's 6 o'clock. I make myself dinner. And then at 7 o'clock, I go, oh my God, I forgot to call her. And I was like, I immediately texted her saying, oh my God, I'm really sorry, blah, blah, blah. And she didn't respond to me. And I thought, wow. And so then I went to the dating app that we were both on, and she deleted my profile.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, wow, what low intolerance. Like, I mean, like, I'm going to own that I screwed up. Remember, I'm taking personal responsibility. I sent her a text. I'm truly sorry. And by the way, I understand it's not a good exemplary to, fall back on your word. Although the two other times we interacted with each other, I was very impeccable. It just happened to be a genuine mistake. So my point is human beings are becoming less and less tolerant of humanness. So the question is, I asked when he canceled a date if he had something he needed to tell me, and he blocked me. So I think that's just a reflection of him, just like this woman. You dodged a bullet that he did that.
I agree. I totally agree.
That just like with the woman who deleted my profile. I dodged a bullet because the chances are is they have low tolerance. Like they probably are high maintenance on a whole nother level.
I think it's yeah. I've just been hearing that a lot lately. I think blocking and blood. That's something I'm just hearing for the first time in a lot of the questions coming through on my channel. Okay, so for the 311 people stayed all the way to the end. Thank you so much for coming off on the top of the hour. And I'm pretty sure we got to all our questions. If we didn't, let us know down below in the comment section after this. And this was phenomenal, Jonathon. Is there any last words of wisdom you want to say on this topic before we close out?
Okay, so I'm going to end with my last book that I'm going to recommend to everyone, if that's okay. Everybody, I highly recommend checking out the book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Can everyone see that? Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Why I'm recommending this book. Whether you have trust issues, whether you have traumas, whether you're needy and anxious, whether you're avoidant, whether you've had bad experiences or good experience. The Untethered Soul is the most beautiful book written to tap into your mindset, tap into your self-discipline, your sovereignty, your self-reliance, your radiance, and that sort of thing. But here's my recommendation, everyone. Only read one chapter at any given sitting and no more than two chapters in any given day. The reason being is this is really powerful work. And you need to let it metabolize. You need to let it absorb inside of you. But I'm telling you, people that go through my coaching program, this is a prerequisite. This book is a must buy. Anyone that goes to my coaching program, because it sets you on the stage of that sovereignty, that emotional maturity. And then what it does is uncover your radiance and your ability to have that variety and ultimately be able to respect and appreciate a guy. And so that's my recommendation at the end of the day. If you don't buy any of the other books, make sure you buy that one. Well, of course, buy my book, What the Heck is Self-Love, anyway. And that's my invitation for everyone, because here's the thing. Make personal development, self-help, and spiritual part of your daily life. It's a vaccination to emotional chaos. And when you can navigate life with inner peace, everything will magically fall into place.
I think that is beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for sticking with the weird delays and like weird stuff happening over here and me like silently freaking out and trying to.
Me too. I was freaking out.
I think this was great though. Thank you guys so much. Over 300 people stayed all the way till the end. Make sure to click the link in the description. Jonathon is open up for a very limited time. I know these are going to fill up within a day or two like they did last time. For a free discovery call if you're interested in hiring a coach for ongoing coaching. Also, if you'd like to get your personal questions answered by Jonathon but aren't ready for coaching, you can join his private group for $1 right now. It's a special offer going on just for right now. That link's in the description too. Anything you want to say about that group before we close out?
Oh my God, our group is so much fun. So if you're not, so really quickly, the group has a library of content that you can go Google. You know, I have so much content in there. We do a once a month hosted call. We have a call coming up shortly on a variety of topics, helping women understand men, but it's open to men too. And we have a Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook, I'm on this group every day. I read the questions. And
Mhm.
3 times a week, I shoot specific videos based on questions. So if someone asked a question, said Jonathon, blah 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 blah, I'll shoot a video. I call it Morning Cup of Jonathon, and those are my videos that I do in my private group. And for those of you that maybe want just to get to know me a little bit better, I'm on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel that's catching up to Helena, not quite there yet. And I've got a podcast called the What Would Love Do podcast.
All
So
of
you can
that
check.
is in the description. It's already there right
Yeah.
now. You guys can
All
go check
right,
out
great.
his book, his YouTube, his podcast, his free discovery call scheduler, and how to join his group for $1. All of those are in that. A lot of people are asking for a list of your recommended. Every time we do a live stream and you
I
recommend,
know. You know what? I need to literally, by the way, at the back of my book, well, the page before it, I list all these books. So you can definitely, or most of these books. You know what? Next time I'm going to have to put together a list and send it to you.
yeah, or maybe if someone remind us in the comments, we can we can like try to
Or
get a
people
list.
start typing it in the. By the way, everyone, when you're watching this video now, just type it in for everyone else to see. So you can go to Amazon and check out the links for it.
Yeah, and ask your questions. Any questions we missed, it wasn't on purpose. It was just because they kept disappearing and jumping up to the top. So ask us in the bottom. Jonathan's so great about answering questions.
Oh, I come back. By the way, anyone watching, I'll come back and read the questions in
Yeah,
there, and I'll
yeah.
do my best to respond.
Any questions you guys have, or marinate on this a little bit. If you have questions later, come back and ask. We'd love to answer them. So this was phenomenal, Jonathon. Thank you so much again. I can't wait
Thank
to
you.
with you again.
I'm going to give you a big hug, Helena.
A virtual social distancing hug. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.